The name Integra is back for 2023 in the Acura lineup, and that makes a lot of people very excited, but a lot of people somewhat disappointed. So I'm really excited to actually have this 2023 Acura Integra A-Spec tech package for you today. We're going to take it on a complete tour of this vehicle, see how it differs from the Honda Civic, which is based on, see what's better and see what could be improved. And that's all thanks to Coggin Acura of Fort Pierce, Florida. If this is the first time we meet, my name is Matt here on Matt the Carguy. Post 2 car reviews every single week. If that's something that interests you, check out the rest of my channel, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to leave me a like after you watch this video. The name Integra is back after over 20 years of being absent from the Acura lineup. And this has been one of the most popular sport performance vehicles in Acura, built from the mid-80s till 2001. The 1995 to 2001 Acura Integra Type R is still considered one of the best compact front-wheel drive performance vehicles. Now it's back for 2023. We only have it with one engine choice for now, and then we have it with two transmissions options. So I'm really curious of how this vehicle differs from the Civic Si that I've just done not too long ago on my channel. First of all, you can see that it looks completely different as at the front. So you do have these Acura lights. They're nice, they're narrow, they're very aggressive. You do have these chicane daytime running lights. You have the Acura inside of it, and they're dual eye LED lights. You do have a slightly different hood, and definitely this front end is what makes this vehicle completely different. Dressed in all of this piano black because this is the A-Spec trim package. You do have this huge Acura logo, and then a lot of open spaces help with the cooling off the engine. To the side here, you do have a set of fog lights as well as the air curtains for better aerodynamics. If you're wondering what powers up this thing, let's check it out. And the reason I mentioned Honda Civic Si, that's because the Integra and the Civic Si actually share these engine. So this is a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder dual overhead cam VTEC engine producing 200 horsepower with about 192 pound-feet of torque. Now, what's different about the Acura and the Civic Si? Civic Si is only available with the manual transmission. Acura does give you the option to get either the manual or the CVT transmission. That's what I chose for you today. So other than that, you do have this ugly prop stick on the side. We're not going to dwell too much about it, but that should be replaced by the hood struts and some sound insulation. And if you're wondering about the 0 to 60 time, it is about 7 seconds. This new generation Integra is offered as a liftback, sportback, hatchback, however you want to call it, and that's why it looks kind of like the Civic hatchback. Now, the Si is only offered as a sedan, so that's one of the differences between the two vehicles. Now, if you look at this particular one, first of all, I do love that platinum white color. They do have the A-Spec trim on the side, and what that means that it do have a lot of more sportier accents, including those 18-inch shark gray wheels. I do like the design of it. Nice size rotors in the background, and you do have the all-season tires on this particular one. Now, as far as the window surrounds, it's all blacked out with the piano black pillar in the middle. And if you look at the mirrors, they color the same as the rest of the vehicle with the turn signal, and you do have the blind spot assist. The vehicle is also equipped with the smart entry system that allows you to enter the vehicle without pressing any keys on the remote, locking and unlocking by simply getting your hand close to the door handle as long as you have the key on you. bottom of it's nicely sculpted. It does give you a little bit more of that performance-oriented look, but the big difference is also in the back. So let's check this out. You can definitely see some similarities to the old Integra, especially when you look at these lights. Now, these are, of course, the new generation, nice visible fully LED lights. We have Acura right inside of them, A-Spec on one side, and then you do have this decklit spoiler or the gate spoiler, however you want to call it, because that whole thing opens up. If you scroll down over here, you have the reflector lights, you have the dual exhaust. Let's see if this is real on both sides or just one. Yeah, that goes as far as I can put my hand in there, and you do have this rather nice trim. That's all in the piano black. Now, if you look at the old Integras, they all have this kind of notch in the middle of the bumper to help with opening up the gate, and that's what we have in this particular one as well. Let's check this out. Now, for the point of reference, I am comparing this vehicle to the Civic Si. That's just because it shares the same powertrain. Now, if you look at the Civic Si, it's only available as a sedan. This is only available as a hatchback. Now, it does have nice and deep storage. However, you know, when you look at this, you have to kind of lift your objects pretty high off the ground in order to drop it in the bottom. So I wish that they would make it a little bit lower. Now, this particular one has the set of all-season floor mats, and see if we have a spare tire underneath. And no, all they give us is this fix-a-flat and some styrofoam organizer at the bottom. Now, you do see one of those 16 speakers in here as well, the ELS Studio 3D. You have some illumination inside, and if you wanted to actually have more room in this vehicle, you can drop these seats forward, and that's going to create quite a bit more of storage space. And here it is. One of the things that always impressed me about Honda and Acura is the amount of space that they're able to carve out, even in the compact vehicles like this. Now, I'm 6 feet tall. The front seat is adjusted to my regular driver's position. I am barely touching my knees to the back of the seat. I am scraping my hair on the headliner, but not, I mean, I have probably about an inch, maybe so, and I have plenty of shoulder room, and you don't find that in many compact sedans. So if I was driving, I can still sit in the back and be fairly comfortable. Now let's check out the rest of this interior. And as always, we're going to start with the rear door panel. Here you can see that it is a two-tone interior. So they have the orchid leather, which you can see right here with the black trim. Now, I'm not sure if it's missing something, if it's just the way that this trim is, but it doesn't really represent much. You do have the aluminum door handles, a lot of hard plastic all around here. Nothing really too crazy as far as the door panel. Let's move on inside this vehicle. So you do have room for three. And 3 seat belts. You do have this armrest with the cup holders that pulls open, of course, and you do have this rather large bump in the middle. Now, no vents in the middle, which kind of disappointing at this price point. You do have 2 USB ports. The driver's seat does not have the seat back pocket, but the passenger does. And as always, let's hear how these doors sound when you close them. Pretty nice and solid thud right there. And let's see if the front door panel is different than the rear one. And it looks a little bit different. So first of all, you do have the soft touch plastic right on top, versus in the back you did have the hard plastic. This trim a little bit nicer, at least it has a little bit of texture in it. You can see that this vehicle is equipped with the ELS Studio 3D and 16 speakers, which you don't find on the Civic. 2 memory seat setting, another feature you won't find on the Civic. And then you do have the mirror window and lock controls over here with nice and soft armrest. And then as you enter this vehicle, you can see this A-Spec on the door sill, and you can see that the seats have the electric controls. Now, if you look at the seats itself, this is very nice. This is a leather with the suede insert, so kind of the Alcantara insert. They're available in different colors. This one is called Orchid, and let's jump inside. I'll show you the rest of this interior. So as you enter this vehicle, it might look pretty familiar because it looks very similar to the current generation Civics. However, if you look deeper, there is definitely going to be some differences. Now, first of all, if you look at this honeycomb trim over here, you'll see that on the Civic, it actually extends through the entire width of the vehicle. And on the Integra, it's nicely covered with this trim. This what they should use on the doors. Well, I'm not sure why they're not. Nothing too crazy about the dashboard itself. You still have the 9-inch screen as you'll find on the higher end Civics, but you won't find the head-up display, let's say on the Civic Si, but you will have it on the Acura Integra. The steering wheel is rather large. It is a multifunction steering wheel. You do have your media controls on the left-hand side, your cruise control on the right hand side, as well as what's going on in the instrument cluster. At the bottom you can see the ASpec badge, and behind you'll see the manual shifters, even though this is a CVT transmission. So what happens when we open and close the door? You can see the Acura logo shows up on the instrument cluster, nicely illuminated it. And then I'm going to start this vehicle up, and you do that by pressing the button on the right hand side of the steering wheel, same as on any Honda, and it turns red when it's running, so you're not getting confused. The ELS premium sound, that's what shows up on the infotainment system. But we're first going to start with the instrument cluster. So it is fully digital instrument cluster at first sight, nothing too crazy. Left hand side, it does have the tachometer. On the right hand side, you do have a speedometer. You also have a display of who's fastened as far as the seat belts, and it indicates that I'm sitting here without the seatbelt fastened. So it does have the occupant detection, which is really nice. Honda started incorporating it in pretty much all of their Honda and Acura models. And inside of the tachometer, you'll see your media. Let's see what else we have here. If you look inside of the speedometer, you can see that we can change the gauge settings. We have the trip meter. We have the navigation that you can put in, driver attention level, and here's the occupant detection. Maintenance, we're at 100%, a little bit overinflated on the tires, and here's your safety support system. Let's press this, and it tells you of what we have on. I can actually get out of here, and then go down, no content. You can switch that actually between miles per hour and kilometers per hour. Brightness, head-up display, gauge display settings, and we're back to square one. So in the middle you can see the miles per hour, so you have your speedometer digitally displayed, and underneath here, right over there, you can see that we're in the normal mode. So let's see what else we have. So we have sport, and that turns the gauges red, normal, white, and comfort in blue. What's also different that you will find on this Acura is individual mode, which you can customize yourself. And this is the instrument cluster. Let's go to the infotainment system. Now this is the 9-inch screen. We've seen it on many other Honda models, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to hit this individual drive mode and see what shows up in here. So it shows up a display, and we can hit customize, and then we can change the different settings for the engine. And the options are comfort, normal, or sport. Steering, same thing. Suspension, idle, stop, you can enable or disable it. And the gauges, we can have it in comfort, normal, and stop. And what that means is whether it's going to be blue, white, or red. And other than that, you do have your regular drive modes, comfort, and sport right over here. Pretty nice display. Now we've seen this screen, so you have the home button over here. Now on Honda it's nice and colorful, and it's black and white here on the Acura. But what's nice about it, we do have the wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. Now I did have my phone connected, might have disconnected by now, but it's nice and bright, and this is the only way that you're going to get your navigation. It doesn't come standard with the navigation system. And here you go, this is my Android Auto. Nice bright display. Let's go back. We can actually go back to the main menu, and I'll go back to the Acura apps to see what else we have. So phone, Sirius XM, FM, these are of course your media inputs, smart shortcuts, system updates, Alexa. You do have a Wi-Fi hotspot in here that you can create, which you can't do on the Civic if I'm not mistaken. You have a Bluetooth audio, USB trip computer, vehicle settings, general settings, clock, compass, and display mode. And you of course have your standard volume and power button, and then you can seek track at the bottom. Let's put it in reverse and check out the rear view camera. And here's what we have. So it's kind of a split screen, but I believe there's an option to close that. Let's see. So you do have a regular camera, just like on the Civic. Decent quality. You do have the 2 different angles in the top-down view. And you can actually, I think, close that and make it a full screen, which is nice. And you can actually change the settings of it, so you can do brightness, display off, etc. I'm gonna make it the brightest that it can be. And this is your rear view camera. Now, of course, the hazard lights is in the middle. Right here, we do have the controls for the HVAC system. So here's your climate control, dual zone climate control. You do have the heated seats. I don't see the option for ventilated seats on this Integra. And then a nice shifter. Now, of course, you can opt in for the same price on this A-Spec tech package for either the 6-speed manual transmission or the CVT. Now, I have driven the 6-speed manual transmission with this engine configuration on the Civic Si, and that's why I wanted to bring you this with the CVT to kind of see what the differences are going to be. But I just want to make sure that you know you do have choices. In the background here, you can see that there's a USB-C and the USB Type A, as well as the 12-volt power adapter, and then you have the wireless charging pad. Right next to the gear shifter, you can see that's where you control your drive modes. You can turn off this engine start-stop button. You do have the parking brake, and then you also have the brake hold. A lot of piano black in here, and you do have the cup holders. Right there, a little bit more storage inside. And then if we scroll up, you can see nothing too crazy about the mirror. I think Honda just eliminated home link altogether because I don't see that here. And then you have your sunglasses holder as well as your sunroof control. This is a regular sunroof. Again, no option available for the panoramic one. And then you have your LED reading lights. And you do have the illuminated mirrors. Now again, lots of speakers. Gotta remind you, it does have 16 speakers. Now, the moonroof itself does have the manual sunshade. Now, this vehicle looks pretty cool. Let's see how it drives. I'm very curious how this vehicle drives because I tell you, I'm one of the people that kind of get nostalgic about some of the vehicles that I know were in the past and a lot of people were super excited about. So, now let's talk about this for a second here, because a lot of people I know on the internet were like, well, this is just a dressed up Civic, you know, there's nothing like the 1990s Integra Type R. Well, let's take a look at this. So the 2001 Acura Integra R had 195 horsepower, and it did 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds. Now, this one right here has about 200 horsepower and does 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds. So it's just about the same. Now, if you want a little bit faster vehicle, you can opt in for a Honda Civic Si with the manual transmission. That was tested at about 6.8 seconds, which is definitely a little bit quicker than that. So if speed and performance is your thing, you don't have to whine about it because you're going to get a better performance out of this vehicle than you did of the famed Acura Type R, Integra Type R from the late 90s and the early 2000s. Now, as far as the looks of it, yeah, it looks very similar to the Civic. So the other one was offered as a coupe. This one is a sedan. Well, I don't think Acura has any plans to introducing a coupe simply because those vehicles don't sell. Now, this segment is kind of, I don't want to say a dying breed, but it becomes less and less popular, turning more people into compact SUVs, crossovers, that type of stuff. And definitely a lot more electrification is coming into the segment. So I don't think any of the manufacturers wants to risk putting everything on a performance coupe. And therefore, I think they did a nice job with the Civic Si, Civic Type R, Acura Integra, which is the base one. And now the Acura just confirmed not too long ago that they are coming up with the Acura Type S. It's going to be available for sale in the summer of 2023. So if performance is your thing, just wait for it, because it's gonna share the same engine as the Civic Type R. Over 300 horsepower, 6-speed manual transmission. If you want to get the performance, definitely wait for it. Now, with that comes a cost, because they had the estimated price of the new Type S Integra, $48,000 starting MSRP, so definitely more expensive. Still not bad for a front-wheel drive, 300 plus horsepower performance vehicle. I'm going to take this for a spin. We're going to talk a little bit of pricing of this particular one. So if you're talking about this one, it's priced at $37,395, and that includes the A-Spec and the tech package. And you do have the option of either the manual transmission or the automatic transmission for the same price. There's no upcharge or discounts for manual transmission. Now, in order to get a manual transmission, or the option to have the manual transmission, Acura actually makes you buy the A-Spec and the tech package. That's the only way that you can get either manual or automatic. Otherwise, you only are getting this transmission that I have right now, which is a CVT. Not the greatest. It doesn't have the best fame as far as the type of transmission it is, but let's keep an open mind and let's take it on the road and see how it is. But before we actually go on the road, let's see how it turns. And it does have a very tight turning diameter, which is not surprising because it is a compact sedan. And once we take it on the road, hopefully I'm going to be able to give you some of the acceleration and my feel of the CVT transmission. I'm going to flip it into the sports mode because it is a sports vehicle. However, you know, it's not really advertised like this. Now, Honda Civic Si, that's advertised as a performance sedan from Honda, while the Acura, which shares the same powertrain with it, is advertised as a compact luxury sedan. Now that's because they're waiting for that Type S to drop with 300 plus horsepower, and that is going to make a huge difference as far as the performance. So that's probably what they're waiting for, and making sure that we're gonna get the type of performance that people are waiting for. Let's merge in the traffic. Now the sport drive mode supposedly has a little bit of more aggressive engine sound, and I do hear the engine. I don't know if it's more aggressive, so I'm gonna flip it into the normal mode and see if it makes any difference. And it definitely does. It's kind of cool. It quiets down quite a bit. So there's always a question, is it worth it? Is it worth to spend that extra money and get the Acura Integra, or should I stick with the Honda Civic Si? And the reason I'm comparing the two is because they share the same powertrain. Everything else on the Civic basically has that less powerful engine. I believe it's 158 horsepower versus 200, so it's a big difference. So here's what you get on the Acura Integra that you will not find on the Civic. Well, first of all, it's offered as a hatchback, not a sedan. And you do have definitely more room in the back as far as the storage. Then another feature that you won't find on the Civic Si is the ELS Studio, which is exclusive to Acura, and this is definitely a premium stereo system. It sounds absolutely amazing, and I wish I could present it to you, but unfortunately I can't play any music, otherwise YouTube's gonna copyright me here. Now, memory seats and the power adjustments on the seats, another feature that's not available on the Civic Si. A wireless charging pad, again, not available on the Civic Si. And an important feature that's also that dampers in the suspension, which makes this vehicle feel completely different in the sports mode than it does in the regular mode. A huge difference, which Acura offering the both manual and automatic transmission, while Civic Si is only available in the 6-speed manual transmission. So if you can't drive a stick shift, you have two choices: learn how to drive a stick shift or go for the Acura Integra with the automatic transmission. You know, $7,000 can get you a long way, a good school for driving a stick, so you might want to think twice. But you will get, for example, you won't get the leather seats with the suede inserts on the Honda Civic, and that's standard on this. So there's a lot of features that Honda makes available on the Acura that are not available on the Civic, and hence the difference. So for those of you that are saying that this is just a dressed up Civic, well, maybe you're right, but it's dressed really well, and there is a big difference in dressing well and dressing poorly. So I'm gonna have one more test for you that I'm gonna do, and this is gonna be the acceleration test to see of how that CVT transmission performs under pressure. And if performance is something that you're looking for, the Civic Si has got just a tiny bit better performance, like 0.2 seconds on the acceleration, just a little bit shorter braking distance. Nothing too crazy though, nothing that would make my decision based on just those 0.2 seconds. Now, if I really wanted the performance, I would definitely wait for the Acura Type S that just got announced. And I gotta tell you, with over 300 horsepower, that vehicle is going to be a monster. It's probably going to be one of the fastest front-wheel drive performance compact sedans on the market, and I can't wait to bring it on my channel. But so far we have this. So here we are. I do have the vehicle in the sports mode, and we are standing still, and let's hit it. $50, $60. Okay, I'm gonna do it one more time, but we're gonna put it in the sport setting here, and I'm hopefully gonna be able to do this manual shifters. Now, braking pretty good, nothing too crazy. Now let's go. Okay, so to be honest with you, this is definitely not bad, but I would go for the stick shift. This would be my preferred choice of transmission. Of course, if you can't drive a stick shift, the automatic is not bad. It is a CVT. It doesn't have any of the crisp shifts, even with the simulated gear shifters right here. But well, if that's all you drive, this is not going to be bad. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope this was a helpful video for you, and you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. So if you like videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you liked it, don't forget to leave me a like, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.